In today's video, we are going to go over 5 steps that will help you heal the damage from a narcissist mother. How to turn their destructive and hideous abuse into fuel to become fully alive again. From the jump, you guys, I want you to know, no matter what your age or circumstance, everything we want in life is on the other side of fear and denial. So let's dive deep. The human mind has no limitations. It can take the pain of abuse and turn it into power. It's time to move on, baby. Gotta be a warrior in a world full of evil. Welcome to Fully Alive Again. Let's go. Hey, human family, how are you? I hope you are all well. For those of you new to my channel, I would like to welcome you to Fully Alive Again. My name is Darren Green. I'm a narcissism researcher, coach, author, and survivor of a covert narcissist mother, siblings, and a 23-year marriage. I would be very surprised if I didn't understand your journey of abuse too. I know where you're coming from. I am living proof that you can and must become fully alive again. And to my fully alive warriors, I'm glad that you're back. I deeply appreciate your viewership. And to everyone watching, you guys, I really do need your help. We live in such turbulent times. This kind of information is exceedingly important. So please get involved and do more than watch. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button if you find some value in today's show, and please share your life experiences and thoughts about today's show in the comment box. This not only helps you, it helps others, and together we will become and remain fully alive again. All right, so let's go, you guys. Let's get into today's show. Being raised by a covert narcissist mother and or father, but today we're focusing on the mother, is tremendously difficult because the mother is the person that is there to nurture, to love, to build the ability to love and to care. They instill the software that we need for compassion, kindness, and love. And to be absence of that from the mother, who is the entity that you receive most of the nurturing from, is devastating. And it impacts our lives in multiple ways. And in order to heal from this and to rebuild ourselves from this, there are certain philosophies, thoughts, and beliefs that we need to adhere to. And when we start down this path, we are certain to become fully alive again. There are 5 steps that I believe that are paramount to make this happen. And these steps are not easy, but they are very necessary in our healing journey. The good news is that we all can heal. We are such a resilient creature. Human beings are freaking amazing. I mean, we survived getting water from the river and hitting a crocodile in the head with a rock. This is in the same DNA and body structure that we're all in. We can survive the most horrific circumstances. What I'm talking about is not survival. I'm talking about the quality of our existence. We all survive the abuse that we've gone through from our parents, from our spouses, etc. But I'm talking about rebuilding ourselves so we thrive, so we live fully, and we're fully alive. Most people have no idea what it's like to be fully alive. We are less than fully alive. We don't have the energy that we should have, the outlook that we should have, the optimism, the courage, the outlook that we should have. I believe most of this stems from a love deficit. Because when you are raised by a narcissistic mother, or a narcissist mother rather, there is a significant void of love. They cannot give you what they don't have and what they don't understand. Love is the most powerful energy on this planet. And I often say, is love against the law in today's world? And I'm not talking the goofy love to where people think love is nice or love is weak or love is pacifist. There's so many. It's so convoluted with foolishness, this thing called love, that the word itself sends us down a path that's irrelevant to what I'm talking about. The love that I'm talking about is a love that creates a whole person. A person that's able to maneuver and govern themselves in a healthy manner. If you were raised by a narcissistic mother like myself, you have been damaged just like I have. There are deficits and problems that I have to acknowledge and take a look at. And it is these 5 steps that help me do that and continue to give me the ability to become and remain fully alive. So let's take a look at these steps, starting with step number 1. Step number 1 is acceptance. And this is a very difficult part of the 5-step journey of healing yourself from the damage of a narcissistic mother. It is tremendously difficult to come to the conclusion that someone who you adored and even worshiped and cherished is not a good person. It overwhelms the senses. We are designed, especially as men, to worship, honor, love, cherish, and protect our mothers. This goes against our DNA wiring to see them in a negative light. And it is devastating, and it's easy to run away from. But in order to be fully alive, we have to accept who and what our mothers are. They are not good people. And I'm referring to a narcissistic mother. It is agonizing, treacherous, putrid, and frightening to admit that you were never loved by your mother. Try to destroy them and hurt them for narcissistic supply. They tried to weaken them. They raised them for self-sabotage. They raised them to entertain them by their agony and their stress. They sexually abused them. They're anything that you can think of that are the most horrific things that you could do to another human being are the kind of things these mothers do. And as a survivor of their abuse, you have to accept that you were not loved in the way that you should have been because your mother was intentionally trying to harm you for their narcissistic supply. And that your mother is a sick, demented human being. And believe me, I know that is easier said than done. But acceptance is the first piece to this. Because if you live in the pretend world, you are protecting a monster. See, most people are trauma bonded with their mothers. So acceptance never happens. They pretend that mom's just moody, or mom's just weird, or mom's just different. It is too big to accept. But if you are going to become a bigger person and take your life to the next level, you have to accept this reality. Because when we don't understand this, or let me put it this way, when we don't accept this reality, we remain sick. We remain afraid. We are living halfway. It is impossible to become fully alive and experience the totality, the beauty, the joy of this thing called human existence if we're in denial of the realities that have shaped who we are. It is exceedingly important that we accept who and what our mothers are and how we have been damaged by them. And then we can experience the bouquet of life. Once we accept this, then we move into step number 2. Step number 2 is to understand that we are not to blame for who and what our mothers are. When you are raised by a narcissist mother, you are conditioned to believe that her emotions are your emotions, that her unhappiness is because of you, that whatever deficit she has is your fault, that the way that she projects onto you is your fault, the way that she sees you, the way that she abuses and treats you is because of you, not because of her. You are born into this world, just like all of us are, without a language. When we come into this world, we are nothing but 100% of pure potential. For example, when we are born, we have the ability to speak any language on earth. If you were born in America, but at 6 months old, you were put into Russia, you would learn to speak Russian. Or if you were put into China, regardless of your ethnicity or the culture and nation you were born into. Because at birth, every human being is nothing but pure potential. You did not choose your mother or the family that you were born into. For whatever reason, this has happened. But none of it, not 1 inch of the things that your mother said or did to you is your fault. And you are not to blame for who and what she is. You are not responsible for healing her or protecting the lie. You are not to blame for her karma, for her life, and for her choices and her circumstances, and whatever darkness that plagues her. You are exempt from that. You were born an innocent human being with 100% pure potential. The things that your mother said to you, the things that she programmed into you, the way that she treated you, the way that she treated others, is not your fault. You, me, we deserved better. but we didn't get it. But now is the time to let all of that go, to transcend it. But how can you transcend it if you don't go through step number 1 and even acknowledge it? See, it's easy to acknowledge when you realize it has nothing to do with you. You are exempt. Come on, man. Come on, man. This isn't yours. It has very little to do with you. You were just born into the fire, the inferno, for whatever reason. But number 2 is to remember you are not to blame. I hope this makes sense, because this is such an important step, because we are groomed to believe that when other people are unhappy, when other people are angry, that there is something wrong with us. That is erroneous. You are fine the way that you were born into this world. That leads us into number 3, step number 3. So I hope this is sinking in, you guys, because this stuff really does work once you ponder it and implement it into your psychology and your philosophy for living. So let's take a look at step number 3. In step number 3, we have to acknowledge that we've been damaged. We have to acknowledge that. You see, it's very easy when you've gone through narcissistic abuse is just to blame the abuser and to put all of your attention on the abuser. And this is a form of escapism. It really is. We have to acknowledge that we have been damaged too. That we are not that little child that came into the world full of potential. Our programming has been altered. There is something that has harmed us. It is impossible to have a narcissistic parent and/or a narcissistic abuser, and especially a mother, and not be greatly damaged by this. The good news about this is that you start to understand all of your imperfections. And there's an aha moment where you're just like, okay, I get why I've been so self-destructive. I get why I've been so neurotic over here and why I've done that. I get it. And the good news is that you can transcend it and heal it. Most people want to run around like they're not damaged. They want to pretend to live a life as if everybody else is damaged. My mother is damaged. My father is damaged. The left is damaged. The right is damaged. The government is damaged. This race of people is damaged. This side of town, everyone pointing fingers, but never looking at the person in the mirror and attacking the things within ourselves that need to be changed, that need to be healed, that need to evolve. Acceptance is the first start, because what you're aware of, and I'm saying acceptance that you've been damaged, acknowledge it and become aware of it, because what you're aware of, you're in control of. What you're unaware of is in control of you. What's the difference between knowledge and awareness? Awareness is like this. Your doctor tells you one day, hey, you need to stop smoking or you're going to get lung cancer. That's knowledge. It even says it on the back of a pack of cigarettes. Okay. 12 years later, you go to the doctor, you continue to smoke, and the doctor tells you, you have lung cancer and we're going to have to remove one of your lungs. Now you are aware of lung cancer. Do you see the difference? There is a tremendous difference between knowledge and awareness. When you become aware that you've been damaged, you become free. You start to analyze the things that have been governing you that have really been the things that have damaged you. And through that awareness, you will act accordingly. And you will do things that are conducive with a healthy, productive, fully alive future. But this can only begin when we acknowledge that we've been damaged. My uncle used to say, boy, when you're looking at the monkey's looking at you. Both creatures are marveling at each other. When we're looking at the craziness of the narcissist and the bizarre things that they've done to us, we have to look at how those things have affected us. We have to look at what did our narcissist mother do to us. Accept it, become aware of it, and then you will do the necessary things to heal and correct it. If you're aware that there's a king cobra in your living room that you had to live with for 6 months, there would not be 1 second of the day that you didn't know where that snake was. You would be keenly aware of where that snake was at all times. This is the same awareness, the same focus that we have to look within ourselves to examine how we've been internally, psychologically damaged by the emotional abuse and physical abuse of a narcissist mother. For goodness sake, this is where love was supposed to nest. This is where all the nurturing was supposed to come from and make us whole, healthy human beings. There is a lot to unpack there. I hope this makes sense, you guys. I really do, because it is profoundly important. It is in this step that we realize the things that are wrong with us. All of the deficits that we have as a human being, the anxieties, the fears, the misinformation, the inner critic that exists in us, the self-shame, all of the negative things that erode our ability to be fully alive were instilled into our subconscious mind from our parents. It is not you that suffers. It is your programming that suffers. It is not you that is fearful. It is your programming that is fearful. It is not you that is angry. It is your programming that is angry. Whatever type of psychological damage that you have has probably been instilled to you or has multiplied over the years from the first installment that your mother did to you. You have nothing to be ashamed of by the person that you are, because it is not you, it is your programming that creates the filter that you see the world through, and the neurotic behaviors that you have, the destructive behaviors that you have. All of these things have been instilled, and I believe intentionally, by a narcissist mother. That is how sick, evil, and destructive these people are. See, you are not her. You are part of her programming. Now, yes, you have their DNA, their features, some of their stuff in your nervous system, but most of your psychological anxieties and the things that make your life a mess And the things that prevent you from becoming fully alive and creating inner peace and thriving in your life comes from their programming. And the good news is it doesn't matter if you're 80, 59, 65, 22, 18, 34, no matter what your age, you can start to deprogram your mother's negative, toxic, destructive programming. You can become revitalized. Now, can you remove everything? Absolutely not. Can you completely clear out your subconscious? That's foolish. But you can become so aware of it and do certain exercises and have certain treatments done. And when I say treatments, different suggestions like subconscious hypnosis and things of that nature, and your self-talk and your NLP, and you can do a plethora of things that start to minimize and erode that programming and help you recover from the things that trigger you. All of us suffer from complex post-traumatic stress. There is no way that you do not have this if you were raised by a narcissistic mother. Most of that stress is created internally from their programming. The way that you were conditioned to believe things about yourself and about the world, the way that you were taught to treat yourself. You never learned a self-care mechanism because the focus was on the narcissistic mother. Your job was to please them. You walked on eggshells. You were being gaslighted and manipulated without even knowing it. So there are many nuances of your psychology that have been programmed into you that are not conducive with the person that you want to become and the way that you want to feel and live. We don't have to be ashamed or afraid of this. It's just a software that was instilled into our mind. And just like any software app, you can delete it. You can update it. You can renew it. That's the type of inner work that I talk about, that you have to do the inner work. Just following these first minor 5 steps is part of that inner work. Acceptance, not being ashamed and believing that you're to blame, and understanding that there's nothing wrong with you. It is your programming. It is not you who suffers. It's the image of you that suffers. It is not you that's afraid. It's the person that you've been programmed to be that is afraid. And that list goes on and on and on for any kind of anxiety or anything that triggers you. The way to transcend it is to understand there's a part of you that's not a part of it. Just like I can tell you, I suffer from complex post-traumatic stress. I am an empath. I have bipolar tendencies, or not bipolar tendencies, but cluster B tendencies and behaviors in me because I grew up and have been around these people so much. Now, since I can assess that, there's a part of me that's detached from that. Do you understand? Whatever you can assess, there's something inside of you that is neutral, that is observing that. And it is that observation, that person, that entity that's observing that, that is you. That's the unbreakable part of you. That's the part that can cultivate a new you, a more powerful, wise, happy, and fully alive person. How do you get there? Understanding that I am not who I think I am. I am who my mother programmed me to be. Does that make sense? You see, so many of us are under the illusion that we're running the show when it comes to our philosophies in life, the things that we like, the things that we don't like, the way that we see and view the world. I am here to tell you that very little about you was intentionally installed by you. Most of your subconscious mind has been developed without your permission. Isn't that extraordinary when you think about it? Most of who you are that governs your every action, behavior, your fears, your dislikes, the things that you believe about yourself have been instilled without your permission. You did not cultivate most of who you are. Freedom's a very popular word in our culture and in our society throughout the world. But most people are not free from their mother, father, or culture's programming. And this is very disturbing when you think about it, because most people think that they're free agents, and they are not. We are not. You have to examine everything, especially if you're raised by a narcissistic mother. Everything goes under the microscope. Does that make sense? You see, have you ever really given any thought that it's all right to despise your parents, people in your family, people in your culture, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, friends, whomever? Yes, even your own mother. Even the good book tells us this, the Bible. In Luke 14:26, it says, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple." What type of wisdom were they conveying? That you have to examine all aspects of your life to be fully alive and to be free. This is the only life that we get. Socrates said, the unaware life is not worth living. Because we're not fully alive until we put everything under the microscope. It is this type of inward traveling that creates the highest technology on earth, human technology. The ability to live and thrive in your own skin, which is the greatest journey that a human being can take on. Yes, despise. We don't owe our parents anything. And I mean this, unless you were blessed and fortunate with a deserving parent. Then it is of the essence that we love them, we care for them, we honor and respect them. And I'm not saying we should disrespect our parents. Please don't misconstrue that. What I am saying is that you don't owe them any more respect than what they deserve. They are not a deity. They are not a god. These are human beings that have harmed you intentionally. These are demonic creatures. So of course you should despise them. What else? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. Come on, man. But we've been programmed, and mostly by them, that we should never disown them. We should do whatever they want us to do. We need to make them happy. We need to keep the family secrets to ourselves and die a slow death internally to make sure nobody knows about the family secret and just about how fucked up and dysfunctional we really are. You see, it's that type of stuff that makes you crazy. The skeletons in your closet. The world is upside down. The way that we live is upside down. Many people will think that there's something wrong with you because you're on the contrary. If you're trying to please people, if you're trying to make other people happy, good luck with that. You will never, ever be fully alive. That is an absolute guarantee. It is only when you find the courage to be authentic and walk your walk, regardless of the outcome in the opinions of others. And once you examine your childhood, your life, and if you find that your parent, your mother, is narcissistic, or is a narcissist rather, then disownership is a must. You can try. They're not going to change. I've tried on several occasions to build bridges, to create harmony with my mother, and there's no one there, and the destructive, evil, nasty, mean, abusive shit that these people do continues until the grave. It is not yours, and you owe them nothing. I hope you get that. So let's get into the last step number 5. Step number 5 is the willingness to heal, the willingness to grow, the willingness to change. I am willing to be fully alive again. I am willing to grow. I am willing to heal. You have to be willing to become healthy, to become fully alive. Without that, it's over. You don't stand a chance. Most people are afraid of being fully alive. When we go to therapy, we just want our toys back. We want our husband back. We want our wife back. We want yesterday back. We want our youth back. We want everything back that was familiar. Back in the good old days. There were no good old days. If you're honest with yourself and you really go back and examine the stages of your life, you've carried this trauma with you if you've had a narcissistic mother your entire life. We want to go to the pretend world, the world that we've been groomed by our culture and our society that's full of escapism and bullshit. We want to go back into that pretend crazy world instead of travel into the unknown. I believe it was Helen Keller who said, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. The adventure of life is internal. It's the healing inside of ourselves. It's the acceptance of our neurosis, our deficits, our crazy philosophies and beliefs that are multiplied and compounded by our culture. You are a sovereignty human being. That self-governance is internal. And once you understand that and accept that, you evolve to the next level. And you become fully alive for the first time in your life, living without the brakes on. Does that make sense? Most people live like they have the emergency brake on. They are not fully alive. They're not fully alive. They're not living the great adventure, the daring adventure. And that's the authentic self. And the only way we can cultivate that part of ourselves is to be willing to heal. So right now, I just want you to say to yourself 5 times, I am willing to heal. 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 It's big stuff. May not seem like it. And the more that you say that to yourself, and there's other ways to get it embedded into the subconscious mind, but for now, it is your self-talk, the inner critic. So the next time you feel down or you're triggered by something and you go to that dark place, just tell yourself, I am willing to heal. And grab your ear and rub it, right or left ear, and just say, I am willing to heal. And say it 5 times and grab your ear and rub it while you're saying it. It's going to take your mind off of what triggered you, and it's going to further indoctrinate your subconscious that you're making changes. You no longer want to be governed by these things that trigger you. Does that make sense? So I hope you guys got some value out of today's show. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please give a like and subscribe to the channel. I deeply appreciate you guys being here. I really enjoy our time together, and I will see you guys on the next video. Until then, be well.